Thanks so much, Zoe. It is Custa and I here yet again today. Well, what's wrong, Scott?
Why are you so short? You're in a box. How is this? How is this possible? How
I'm
did this
I'm
happen?
I'm always so short. It's because you're always so tall. That's the problem. You're
We
just
we
you're
we
way
just
taller.
did this. We
Yeah,
just
and I'm
made sure
and
we're
I'm in the same spot.
heights.
Look,
Oh,
you're lucky that I'm not still located in Los Angeles. I'd be driving over there. I'd be throwing them hands. But
those high kicks, yeah.
yeah, those high kicks. I mean, Danny Lim has seen the devastation of my high kick. So we got Atlanta Reign versus Las Vegas Eternal. As what? This is their first match as Vegas, right?
Yeah, first match.
Yeah. So franchise 0-0. We wiped the slate clean there. That's how it works. Antarctica up here first. What? Are you not okay with that?
I just don't think we should judge them based off of this first match because they are going up against the Atlanta Reign. This
True.
team is favorited for this entire tournament. They have a great roster. While Vegas Eternal, I think Lemon brought up a lot of great points in the pre-show talking about these guys. They have a lot of, like, a mountain to climb, and it's all about their resilience and showing a little bit more maturity heading into this matchup. So I'm curious to see what we're going to see from them as a whole, because we saw bits and pieces of leaked scrims, and it didn't look great. So let's see what type of evolvements they've made since then.
You've seen the spoilers for this one, it sounds like.
I hope it's a close match.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that this one's going to be good, but just off what we saw yesterday from Atlanta, man. Come on, they look to be one of the best.
Yeah, Atlanta has put together like a all-star level, roster this year. I mean, look, Fielder and Chio in terms of supports. The Atlanta Reign, they'll actually come out here. I know on a Ramatra-based composition, is actually going to see a little bit of a Doomfist play here from Vegas Eternal. But Atlanta, I mean, they beefed their roster up in the offseason. I mean, they've always put together pretty good rosters since their inception in the Overwatch League. But just on paper, on talent, this one's the best. As for a second, it looked like Atlanta, Scott, they actually had high ground, but this Doomfist kind of play up. So that high ground, they actually back off of it. But they're still going to be able to cap the point first. They kind of like rotate around to the opposite side.
Yeah, they just wanted to force the engagement from the Vegas Eternal, but Vegas sort of not willing to engage, so they let Atlanta Reign get the cap, and then Vulcan just kind of forces it with that Doomfist dive. No real follow-up from the rest of his team. So that's going to mean that they're going to lose the first fight as Atlanta takes the point first up to 20%. But we're going to see some shifts coming out of Vegas Eternal instantly. Rack attack over to that Ana, Luke Mino onto the Zenyatta. I don't hate these switches, because what happens is you recognize that Reign is going to struggle to close this distance. You can see all the way back there where Luke Mino is standing. Hawk's not going to be able to get there, so they're going to get maximum value from the Ana and the Discord from the Zenyatta. So they should be able to create more space, but Luke Mino's going to go down to Stalker.
It's just, look where Stalker's playing. Yeah, I mean, he's right up. He's getting in the mix. Oh, he's going to take out Dove as well. Just turn and just, burns him with the Mei. I'm always scared whenever I see patch notes and there's something that looks potentially like a Mei buff, because for me, she's always on the borderline of like becoming dominant, right? The wall is so strong. Ice block, being able to get your health back, 250 health total. I know primary fire does a lot of damage like in an AoE, even if it doesn't slow anymore. And then just the right click, the alternate fire, the headshot damage is just nuts. Is right there. It was pretty much Stalker versus like 2-3 players, like in a little bit of a 2v1, 3v1 scenario. And he's able to kill 2 and get out with his life. And that's got Atlanta, 82% on the point. This will be a dragon here from Malthal, just trying to maybe get players off of this high ground. And Atlanta is not going to give it up. And look at this, they can just have Stalker sit down there, contest the point on the Mei. He's not worried at all.
Whoop, down the hole he goes, but Vulcan's going to engage. He has that Doomfist ultimate to be able to sort of live for a little bit longer, but unable to find any value due to the sound barrier from Chio. Stalker gets another kill onto Luke Mino, but Dove does get to trade back against Lip with a great pulse bomb. But the problem for Vegas right now is that Atlanta's anchored on this point with that Ramatra right now, and they just cannot get Hawk off. And with overtime ticking down, that's going to be a convincing first round for the Atlanta Reign.
Yeah, lots of cool effects going on when they dove up to the high ground, but then you kind of slowly realize after they all dissipated that nothing really happened. They weren't able to dislodge them from the high ground. Atlanta was able to just kind of stand strong with Hawk there with the Nemesis form, because the Ramatra, right, has the shield, has the Nemesis form, and then you're not even worried about the point because you have the Mei in the mix. So Fielder here gonna call for a pause right before we'll go back into game. We'll kind of see what happens in terms of comps. It looked like they were actually maybe hovering over like a Genji pick there.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious. Vegas Eternal with a very different look on the Winston style, Winston Lucio Kiriko that we've seen from the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. Maybe we see Vulcan not as comfortable on those heroes, so he wants to play that Doomfist, but unable to really get anything done. It felt like every time he goes in, he hits a punch, but it's just not enough follow-up damage for him to really accomplish anything. So Vegas just unable to find those kills.
Yeah, I mean, well, they find 2 final blows in the first round there total for Vegas. So not ideal and not able to take down Hawk or either of the supports there for the Atlanta Reign. Where for me, interesting, I think, talking about Atlanta, like not like you wouldn't really call it pressure, but like Hawk being put on this team and staying on the roster, right, with all these like new star players coming around. Maybe a little bit of extra pressure on him, but I thought last year he was tremendous in the solo tank role. Like once they committed to him the entire year, I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly if Hawk did get a role star last year or if he was very close to the cusp. I know a lot of people did.
Why do I feel like he got snubbed and we got angry about it?
Yeah, I feel like I remember being upset that Hawk didn't get it because he really is a very smart, versatile tank player. And we did have our concerns when, especially with the caliber of roster that the Atlanta Reign acquired, we were worried if he was going to be able to accomplish all those tank roles, but it seems like he's found his niche on this team. Donghak will play the ball in the Winston, and he comes in to play this sort of Ramatra Brawl style. But as we get this second round kicked off, we are going to see Vegas Eternal move over to this Brawl, the Reinhardt versus the Ramatra. Matt, which one do you like more at this point with the Ramatra versus Reinhardt? We've seen it bits and pieces.
We've been seeing a ton more Ramatra. I think the Ramatra is a little bit more versatile in that you can actually do like some damage at range, right? Like just how we kind of saw them hold that off angle in the previous round. Like there's different variations, and I think there's just more opportunity for different styles of play with the Ramatra in the mix. Like, is he not as like sturdy in the straight up brawl on brawl when the the walls go up and whatnot? Probably that's true, but I just feel like there's more just overall general use cases for Ramatra. This is really good for Vegas Eternal. I mean, they get the point first, and Malto kicks off the next by taking out Stalker.
Yeah, great job by Malthus to punish that wide swing by Stalker that he got so much value from in the first round. So that's going to be first point, and time ticking up for the Vegas Eternal. So this is an important team fight win because now it gets a lot harder for Atlanta Reign to really start stepping up. Luke Mino is going to have this amplification matrix first. Are they going to be proactive? That was something that the Vegas Eternal were quite poor at last year, just playing into other people's games. But you can see them trying to go aggressive. They get the punish onto Chio and really force the Atlanta Reign into an uncomfortable position. But it looks like this is going to be closing this one out, but it is just chaos right now, man.
Yeah, it is. Atlanta just kind of doesn't even care about the high ground, right? Just pushes straight on through, tries to get towards that back line. His fielder up on the high ground, he's actually going to use an amp matrix, and this is where I feel like you're in a little bit of trouble here if you're Vulcan. You can't really do any damage at range to those players up on the high ground. With a Ramatra, right, you can actually put the shield up there on the high ground to block some of that Nemesis form. So that's what I mean with a little bit more versatility with Ramatra's kit in scenarios like this. But that fight's pretty drawn out though, Scott, right? Vegas Eternal is going to get up to 58% on the point, and coming into the next fight, you'll have a Blizzard, probably for both sides. Deadeye here. Vegas Eternal going to have a huge advantage in terms of having the sound barrier, though. Let's see how they decide to play around it.
Yeah, the Annihilation Hawk is what I'm going to be looking at. How is he going to get value against this Reinhardt? The Blizzards do go down for both squads, with the High Noon just watching the skulls go up. Great immortality field there by Luke Mino, just keeping Vulcan alive, but he's still so low as Hawk's running him down. The Annihilation has run out, but Hawk is just too oppressive over them. There's going to be a late amplification matrix coming out from Luke Mino trying to win the fight, but Atlanta's just going to step aside and let them deal with that one because they still have the point.
Yeah, and possibly you're using that amp matrix because you think you can actually finish Hawk off and then, speed your Reinhardt back in and then take that next fight, right? As Atlanta's without a tank, but they're not able to win it. But at this stage, look at this. Dove is able to take out Lip here at the start. So potentially an opening here for Vegas Eternal. Sound barrier answered here for the Atlanta Reign, and that's going to be Fielder up on the high ground with that amp matrix. Oh, nice shatter. Oh,
great
look at that beautiful boop. That's a nice boop there. From Chio that comes in and sets the Reinhardt off course as Hawk was as good as dead in that scenario. Still might be. dead, but it's going to last a little bit longer, and that's going to allow Lip to get back in the fight. And it looks like the Atlanta Reign are going to take it.
Chio showing why he was one of the best supports last year on that Lucio role, why he was so impactful for the Dallas Fuel Championship run. Saves Hawk's
They're going to be walking into a blizzard
for that much longer. Yeah, and now Vegas Eternal stepping up, and they have to touch the point as the blizzard's about to go down.
Yeah, you're going to be walking into a blizzard. Lucamino looking like he going to drop that Ant Matrix. For a second, I thought he was going to go to the high ground, but he tries to like kind of sneak it past that May wall. So it looks like we have one player contesting. That's going to be Vulcan on the point here. Is Hawk going to sidestep that charge yet again, but kills going in favor of Vegas Eternal. It looks like just dumping a little bit too much into this fight where Atlanta Reign's not able to withstand. So Vegas is going to flip the point back in their favor. Sound Barrier, Deadeye. Deadeye is like not the, you know, biggest of ultimate, I would say, right? That's going to like drastically turn the tide, right? But you do have this Sound Barrier when, you know, Hawk maybe uses that Annihilation. I also look at Fielder, right? He's going to be able to get, you know, if he can get some high ground access, like on that plat to that, you know, right-hand side from the camera view we're looking at now, can farm up that Ant Matrix pretty quick. Is Speed Boost plus the Deadeye trying to get in position is, yeah, Hawk's going to take a big chunk of damage, but it almost doesn't matter, Scott. That's going to actually allow him to get the Ant Matrix, and now they're going to go in. Annihilation here for Hawk. It's going to be answered with a Sound Barrier here, and they're going to push right on through, as that's a big pick on Ichio. Dove is going to pick up another one. Dove with 3, and that's going to be Vegas stealing round number 2.
Dove's going to get an extra 4th one in overtime 5. Yo, it still counts even if it is in the overtime when everyone's moving super slow.
Is that how it works?
It still counts, Matt. That's a 5K coming out from Dove, but just honestly, great play. I love what I'm seeing from this Vegas Eternal squad. They're being proactive. I love that high noon play. It doesn't get value per se, but what it does is it forces Atlanta Reign back, which then gives them extra time so that when Atlanta has to touch the point at the last second, Dove can be in this perfect situation. They can't clear him, and he just gets kill after kill. So Vegas Eternal, a lot of people
headshot after headshot.
No,
actually, I don't think any of these were headshots. I actually don't think any of them.
It's over. Look, it's over. Brent's gone. We need to.
There's nothing wrong with being a body shot bandit. There's nothing wrong with being a body shot bandit. So, like as long as they end up in the feed, it doesn't matter. So Vegas, they come out same composition. Atlanta will stick on the Ramatra here as it'll be Atlanta actually taking, you know, position on point here first. This like kind of like high ground's a little bit odd, at least for me, Scott, because like you do have a little bit of like high ground, but it's not great. And then also you're kind of like having to be the one that like comes around this pillar, which it's just a really easy position to get those May walls down. So you see Vegas now, they're going to have to attack as Vulcan. He can be really patient here, right? You can actually kind of keep that shield like non-active and let it heal up as he actually gets burnt down there. It looks like it's really low and no support there being able to help him out as now I think once they lose that Rhine, that's when, you know, Hawk can really start to get going, specifically if he has that Annihilation up.
And honestly, it's Stalker who I think is really aiding Atlanta in this setup. He's playing a flanking Mei style, which is, let's be honest, unconventional, but it's working. He's taking that off angle, which is forcing the Vegas Eternal to look at him, and that's isolating Vulcan, forces him to go down, because Stalker can just ice block anytime that happens. With the burst cap now as well, they have the advantage. Vegas has to walk into them, and Stalker can drop a wall whenever he wants to. The Matrix comes out from Luke Mino, but
you can kite
get
this.
Walled, and they can run away, man.
Yeah, you can just walk away from this, right? You know, you're not getting like any point percentage either, because they just kind of play around that corner, and that's a really, I actually like the way that Fielder used that Ant Matrix, right? Like, so Vegas, they use theirs early, and Atlanta can just kind of kite it and like not take any damage, just hide around that pillar. And at that point, I feel like if you're Atlanta, you have to know that Vegas is going to be coming in soon. As soon as they start to come around the corner, they drop the Ant Matrix, a little bit of damage, then it's Annihilation. No, it's the Nemesis form there, popped by Hawk, and he actually just runs right in, and he's able to just put down that finishing damage to take them out. As now he has the Annihilation. I feel like this fight, Scott, you're getting into like do or die territory here for the Vegas Eternal. They need to win this next fight.
This is an everyone press Q kind of fight going. Stalker's going to throw his Blizzard quite aggressive. Both teams have, but nothing's really coming out from it. Dove is playing sneaky, waiting for the aggression from his team so that he can flank Deadeye. With the damage reduction on this Deadeye, you can actually sort of sustain through this kind of damage. They're going to Sound Barrier to keep him alive. They've got Hawk isolated, but he's just blocking in this Annihilation form and will not die.
Oh, and you have the sound barrier going here for the Atlanta Reign. That's going to keep everybody up. Hawk looks like he ends up picking up 2. The mag grenade there. Just throw it anywhere in Dove's direction. It's going to hit him right in the mouth. As you might be able to come back here and get a touch. It looks like Malta going over to the Tracer. Looks like Rack Attack trying to come on in. Nice Maywall there from Stalker, and that'll be it. Way harder than I think we anticipated, right? Atlanta Reign, they do still come out on top, but it's pretty close there with the Vegas Eternal taking a round.
Yeah, I think Vegas Eternal, they look good with the setup that they're trying to play right there, and they sort of did force Atlanta into some uncomfortable positions. I wasn't a fan of what they did in this first round with Vulcan on that Doomfist, but the Brawl setup looks good for them. If they can lean on that, I think they could have a chance at taking the next map against the Atlanta Reign.
Yeah, I'm curious of like what the next map choice will be here for Vegas Eternal. Like, to potentially like something like a King's Row, let's say, right? If you're going over hybrid, like, would love to see how like the Reinhardt versus the Ramatra plays out on that. I think that would be a really interesting look. I think there are some points in the map that definitely favor this Reinhardt setup, but I thought Vegas looked pretty good there. Dove played pretty strong. So guys, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break, and we're gonna have map number 2 between Vegas and Atlanta coming up right after this. bringing you the action. I know I let that one breathe for a second just to let you guys kind of just to react. But it's Atlanta Reign winning map number 1, 2-1. Pretty close there on Antarctica. And the next map we have coming up will be Hollywood. Scott, what are your thoughts on the pick?
It's an interesting one coming out from Vegas Eternal. I wonder if this is something that they're comfortable on. They have a composition that they feel good on, because overall,
I'd hope it is something they're comfortable on. Why would you pick something you're not good at?
But it doesn't look like a brawl map to me. It never has been, especially because of that second point high grounds. It's just impossible to play it there. So I'm kind of interested to see what the Vegas Eternal are cooking right here, because Atlanta overall are a very versatile team. They can really do anything. And with that, I can bring up the subs of Chio has actually been subbed out with Vigilante coming in, which means Vigilante and Fielder in the backline. That's double flex support, which makes sense to me because Hollywood, long sidelines, you can get away with playing that double flex setup.
Yeah, I think having double flex support here makes total sense. Take a look at the Atlanta Reign roster one more time. Lip and Stalker and still staying in terms of the DPS. You got Hawk in there, and then the only swap, like you mentioned, is Vigilante in for Chio. Yeah, double flex support makes a ton of sense here going into Hollywood, as sounds like we're about ready to go into game, as Scott wants to see Vegas cook. See what they got cooking here.
I want to see them cook. You know, a lot of people were very negative on this team. Let Dove cook. He did a little bit of cooking.
He was cooking.
Some slight baking. A little bit of
appetizers. Some appetizers. You know.
But he's got to do more. You know, I know it's hard, but he's got to do more, because not a lot of people had high expectations for this Vegas Eternal team coming into this season. They obviously were the Paris Eternal last year. They got signed in the middle of the season, went on to not win a single game. So when they signed head coach Empress and they retained a lot of this roster, people were questioning whether or not that was the right decision. But off of that first map, they looked to be a lot more cohesive and a lot more proactive than what
without a doubt. Yeah, I think they looked, considering how good this Atlanta Reign roster is, right, and like the caliber players we know they are, I think if you're a Vegas Eternal fan and you've been supporting these players for a while, I think you got to be super stoked with what you saw on map number 1. We'll see Vegas on defense here, kick things off.
I said I wanted to see them cook. I was not expecting the Torb, Brig setup coming out here from the first point defense on Hollywood. But
what's wrong with Brig?
No, Torb Brig is just an interesting setup. Especially the Brig is going to feel essentially useless when you're playing against this Atlanta Reign squad. They're playing double flex support, they're playing the Sigma. If you're that Brig player, how are you getting Inspire points? How are you healing the rest of your team outside of those health packs? So it might be difficult for Rack Attack to really get any value against this high damage output coming from Lip and Stalker. They're playing Ash, Hanzo, Sigma, Bat, Zen. With the highest damage output you could go, man.
I was going to say, I mean, this is where Atlanta Reign, right, obviously being on offense and being able to see this and then make some adjustments pays off, right? That you can get the Ashe here with the Hanzo, get some high ground, just put down so much damage, even with the Bat and the Zen in the mix, right? Just a really strong poke comp. As looks like Hawk goes low, though, so that's the immortality field gone, but looks like they've decided they want to rush in towards Malta on that right-hand side, but you still have these 2 DPS up on the high ground that you have to deal with. Really difficult setup for Vegas to go up against.
Yeah, because it's just a waiting game if you're the Atlanta Reign. You're just hoping the damage is going to be good enough. They make a great decision here. We don't really see it on the screen, but they rushed down Stalker, who tried to take that alleyway position, take that off angle like he was doing on the May, but they managed to punish him, and that should slow everything down as Dove gets another pick on the fielder.
Yes, that magnetic grenade. Like, if you can get close to any of these targets, they're a little bit weak. It's just like a finishing move there, just taking him out as Rack Attack in the feet. Take out Hawk. Although we talked about how strong Atlanta Reign's comp could be against something like this from Vegas. Vegas holds on and gives up no point progress. So pretty good first defense here from Vegas Eternal.
Yeah, playing it very well, understanding what the weaknesses of their comp are and just playing around that. Vulcan did a great job of taking this high ground stairs and not allowing this Baptiste and Hanzo to just sit here for free. By threatening and coming up here, he can sort of make them a little bit more wary, but you see Hawks coming into the stairs, trying to clear it for them as well. But this is a lot of time coming off the point. We see the Bob go out. I don't know exactly where it is. He's just standing in the open. Good job, Bob. But yeah, Paris is going to back off, and they're going to trade for Hawk.
Bob doing Bob things as we got a rally on the other side of things. Yeah, look at this. They kind of put themselves in an odd position. He just rolled his own magnetic ring. Oh, okay. So he just rolls right on past him. That'll be the Atlanta Reign picking up the final few kills. This should be Atlanta Reign taking that first point. What'd you say?
That's enough cooking for Dub, I think, for a little bit. You know, we'll just give him a minute. That was a little bit too much.
He thought he was playing Tracer the way he was, you know, dipping and diving. He's going to get back on and get a touch. So looks like they still want to fight this. This is all Malthal. He actually just turns the corner, takes a shot there from Lit and Stalker is that's going to be the Gravitic Flux used there as well from Vulcan. Maybe we have some wholesale changes here coming in from Vegas Eternal because I mean, I was going to say you don't really love the Torbjorn on defense here as you move in towards this second point. It doesn't really, like, the turret doesn't really have as much high value, like not like many off angles you can get with so much map like opening up. So I like the changes here from Vegas. They'll actually play the Mercy here with Dove on the Ashe, so a little bit of a Mercy pocket coming in.
Yeah, this is an interesting swap up. It makes sense why they use those ultimates, maybe not the Gravitic Flux, but oh no. Vulcan gets rocked off. You know, Hawk's taking so much space and they can't really dislodge it right now, so they will get some free card progress. And with them having the high ground, this Mercy Ashe pocket setup is going to be a lot more difficult as we actually see Mouth go down without anyone coming in. Hawk recognizes the res is going to come out, not allowing that one to go down, but you know, Vegas Eternal just getting pushed further and further behind, and this is a rapid second point, man. They might cap this one out before they even get a real contest.
Knock right there for Vegas. Still an opportunity though here to make, well, it's going to be hard, right? Lucamina's going to go over the Kariko. Like, they're not going to really have, like, they don't have anybody fast to be able to touch. Yeah. Rack, it'll be Malthal actually comes on in as it'll be Lip who gets some high ground here. But yeah, I mean, he gets in, but like, did you see how low he was as soon as he got to the cart?
Yeah.
I mean, he was basically dead. At that point, what? You can dash on, you can contest, you can, you know, deflect it, and then that's about it. And, you know, if you don't have any support after that, you're going to be gone. They have to try and punish. Yeah, I mean, I was going to say they have to try and punish somebody like Hawk, right? You can't allow him to play that aggressive and take that much space, get below 50% HP, and then just walk away, right? You're never going to be able to kind of like stand pat and control and try and get some of this space back if you're just going to let him just run through you like that.
And they haven't really found any value from this Genji and the Ashe pocket. They haven't really had any space to accomplish that as well. Malthal gets Vigilante and Stalker just shuts him down after that one, and the card's going to keep moving it, but these people are stuck in a bad spot. The Mercy, the Ashe, and the Kiriko. The Kiriko can TP out at any moment, but you can see Stalker actually stalking these players. Doesn't want to let them get out of this setup. Oh, that was close, but unfortunately not able to find the fix.
Oh, he had like the Mercy lined up right there. Same with Lucamino, and actually Lucamino gets out, drops his Kitsune Rush, and he's going to be able to pick up one. This is going to be Hawk using a Gravitic Flux around the corner, Dragon Strike being thrown into that as well. Bob in the mix here. I know for Dove is everybody just tossing their ultimates here. Is you see how close the payload was, Scott, actually just kind of like getting the distance, kind of sneaks all the way up. It's Atlanta Reign, you use a ton of your ultimates there. It's going to be Stalker switching over to Tracer. You still have this Transcendence though, right? You know, whether it's going to be for the Gravitic Flux or the Dragon Blade that comes on through. So even though you don't have a ton of ultimates here for the Atlanta Reign, you're still in a pretty good spot to withstand what Vegas is going to throw at you.
Yeah, Malthal's been doing a good job, and Luke Mino, honestly, of playing aggressive and sort of punishing this double flex support setup where they are very susceptible to just getting picked off or getting dove, and they're using these high grounds quite well, as once again, another pick goes out. That's more time off the clock that Atlanta Reign needs to disengage, wait for everybody to come back. So Vegas Eternal, are trying their best to slowly whittle down this clock after a pretty
They're trying to send them back to Paris.
Yeah, trying to send them back to Paris. Good one. Yeah, kind of.
I like Paris and Vegas as cities. I think both are great.
Yeah.
Vegas is closer, and it's got an Eiffel Tower, so it kind of has a little bit of Paris as well. So it'll be... That's the Gravitic Flux they're used by Vulcan, but you're not able to push in. So this is going to be the Dragon Blade. Vigilante even... Yeah, okay, so he's going to use the Transcendence here a little bit late towards the end. So able to hold on to that Transcendence, maybe get a little bit more value out of it. Yeah, look, they try and push through that doorway. I know once that Transcendence nice wears off a little bit, yeah, they're able to get some extra kills out of this. Field are able to farm up, you know, his Amp Matrix, and doesn't look like the DPS able to make it back towards the cart there, as Atlanta Reign will get a map completion. with 50 seconds left in the time bank. So I actually thought from their point one defense was pretty strong there from Vegas Eternal. I think like after that, that's kind of when things fell apart. Bounced back a little bit towards the end. Maybe like just one fight away from even stopping a map completion. So all things considered, not bad on the defensive end there for Vegas Eternal.
Yeah, I think just getting on both the first and second point defenses, they did a last-second contest that hurt them so much. If they didn't go for that last-second contest on that first point where they committed the gravitic flux, they could have just set up properly on the high ground, been able to get value by just shooting down, and they would have been able to have an actual defense on that second point. They did the exact same thing when Mouthful last-second committed on the second point, dies, then they lose the first half of the third point. Just some small macro plays from Vegas Eternal that are really hurting them in the long run.
Nothing crazy here from Vegas on offense just yet. Maybe playing the Brig in the mix. We'll see what happens when that spawn door opens. But Atlanta, they go with the Tracer here on defense with that double flex support with Zine Vigilante, and like we talked about, in the lineups, expected to see double flex support. What are your thoughts on the Tracer here in here for the Atlanta Reign? Like playing a little bit more of that versus like a Genji or even a Hanzo on D.
Against the setup that the Vegas Eternal look like they're about to walk out on, I think he might struggle. Actually, if they're going to stay the Mercy Genji, though, I really like this Tracer. Especially since the Mercy Guardian Angel nerfs came in, which increased the cooldown of that by 1 second. As a Tracer, it's a lot easier to just sort of run that Mercy down, keep applying pressure. And now that they don't have as many one-shot potentials or a Brig, Stalker's going to just try and be pesky and annoying and make it impossible for Dove to almost free fire and make them always having to help and turn rack attack.
Yeah, we'll get that overlay change in just a sec, as that it'll be Vegas on offense here with Atlanta on D. Is they go for the Genji play here on offense for Vegas. Is no, I think like some of the damage that comes down right from the Ashe like could easily be followed up with like a Genji, just a dash through, right? I know a dash through and just like one alternate fire finishes that player off. So farming up a little bit of a Valkyrie here, doing some extra healing and damage boosting. But you don't even know how like impactful that ultimate is, right? I know some changes recently. I think kind of like debated within the community whether it's a buff or nerf, to Mercy overall. But getting closer to having that ultimate. It looks like they're having some trouble though, Vegas, like even making it through the choke. As look at how much damage Hawk has put down Scott. He's already got this gravitic flux.
I'm not in love with this Mercy Genji. It's so slow. Mouthful has 40% ult charge in a minute and a half, and then just tries to get a little aggressive and gets punished.
Well, he's got to make something happen. Oh.
Yeah, but they're going to force out the Valkyrie, and it's not really going to do much. Hawk is just flying around the map trying to punish. Unable to find any of the kills with that ultimate coming out from the Mercy. Lumino's going to drop the amplification matrix as well, but they're just unable to isolate any of these targets as Hawk comes up, gets a great rock onto Dove, and that should spell a retreat from the Vegas Eternal.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this composition here from Vegas Eternal. Vegas is on offense here. It's really kind of like feast or famine, right? Like you're relying on the Mercy being able to damage boost like the Ashe, or do some damage boosting on the Genji. And being able to like finish off those kills, but like you said, it's like quite slow. Like if Atlanta's not really giving them some easy targets or getting anybody weak, you're just kind of like standing there like waiting for somebody to make a play, and that's probably why Malto feels like he has to like dive in, try and make something happen.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to get reses at this point and at this level when everyone's not playing these long-range hit scans. You can't get those easy reses. We haven't seen a single res go out, so they just didn't get value. That's why Rack Attack switched back over to the Brig, but there's just so much damage going down as Vigilante hits a nice right-click down the corridor to take out Mouthful once again. And 3 minutes in, and Mouthful has still found no value. Hawk's going to use another Gravitic Flux. He is absolutely dominating this game.
He's farming them so fast, right? It doesn't matter. May as well throw him in. Curious, what's your thoughts on the Genji Ashe with the combo of the Brig with the Kariko backline?
I don't see many synergies coming through at all. You don't have, even if when Mouthful gets his blade, what do? He's going to get the blade, he's going to dash in, and Vigilante's going to Transcendence. And without the nano boost, without the Mercy damage boost, he's not going to be able to really find any value. So it kind of feels like sunk cost at this point by Vegas Eternal. They're just playing it, even though I don't think it's going to have a long-run value. And Luke Mino's going to go down to another nice shot by Lip, and more time is going off. But there's 20 seconds remaining. Atlanta Reign could push this objective a little bit more.
Yeah, and maybe you actually just kind of, you really like having the Brig inside of the Kiriko ultimate. This is going to be the Gravitic Flux here from Vulcan. Brings up Hawk, gets him quite low. It's going to be a Transcendence used in response. It's going to be a Bob chucked in there from Lip. Pulse Bomb connects there onto Rack Attack, so he's going to fall as here is this blade from Malto. He'll get one. Few other players drop here for the Atlanta Reign. So Vegas with an opportunity to take this first point. It looks like they're going to work their way onto it, finish everybody off. But that is one where I feel like Atlanta Reign, you're playing with house money, right? You've done such a great job completing the map with some time bank, and at that point you know that this is the final fight. Force Vegas, right? Vegas has to use all these ultimates to just take this point and drain that time. Now you can play close up. You can burn even more clock in this second stage of the map.
I'm surprised we haven't seen a switch come out from... Oh, okay, there we go. Mouthful switches over to... Mouthful switches to Tracer and instantly gets right-clicked through those two small doorways. Man's having a rough map so far in this one, but you know, this is just such an impressive composition by the Reign. It's so much damage that Vegas doesn't really know how to deal with it. We go back to the Brig, but once again, I'm not in love with the Brig in this setup. And we have Tracer from Mouthful, who's probably going to struggle to get anything done, so we'll see if they know something that I don't, but right now they're stuck at the choke once again with only a minute 40 remaining, Matt.
Yeah, and I don't think this is strictly a Vegas Eternal thing. I think you'll probably see this from Atlanta Reign throughout the season against a lot of teams in the league, as they are set up in a fantastic position this season for success. As they have Hawk, I know here in the tank role from last season, but also like Gator in a coaching role, which it's pretty cool to see somebody go from, I know, a player for the team directly into the coaching staff. Somebody who's kind of even played with some of these players. Still remaining is Stalker, doing what it implies, stalking his prey.
Just waiting for this pulse, waiting for someone to walk in. Dove's going to be the first one to enter and just gets a nice one clip with a little bit of help coming out from Hawk. And you can see Vegas just don't really have an answer to
look at Vegas. They're split here, right? So a few of these players end up actually like kind of pushing on through, and a few players are actually stuck back by that first point. And Atlanta realizes it, and what happens? They have some DPS here come collapse onto Rack Attack in Vulcan, and Hawk had actually just kind of like stood in the doorway there, just blocking with a Sigma shield and kinetic grasp. There's anybody able to come on through. So 30 seconds left here. Vegas got to get checkpoint B, then got to get checkpoint C. Probably a little bit of a run back in OT as well, as they've looked good at moments. Can they clutch up here at the end? 20 seconds to go. You got a Bob in the mix here potentially for Vegas. You also have a Gravitic Flux. That'll be the Gravitic Flux. Looks like just going to connect with Hawk, as he'll take some damage, and that's going to be an Immortality Field able to save him.
Yeah, and the Pulse Bomb doesn't get any value, and Hawk is going to go down with a nice shot there from Dove. So this should give the Vegas Eternal at least a chance to start stepping up. But the issue they're going to have, you can see Stalker just lurking in the shadows. Lip is still standing on this high ground with the backline supporting him. So they have to stay on the cart, and they're going to take so much damage. There's a trade.
A trade?
Stalker and Dove. Honestly, you take that if you're the Atlanta Reign. Rack Attack is going to react by popping the rally. If you're the Atlanta Reign, I think you're happy with this. You control the high ground. You don't try and fight into this rally. Wait for Stalker to get back into this fight. Vigilante is playing on his own down there, and he has the Transcendence to answer any of the aggression that Vegas Eternal does show.
Yeah, also a little bit of a slight spawn advantage, right? With the Tracer able to make it back a little bit earlier, is, oh, that's going to be Vulcan. He was going for the accretion there on the Hawk as he used the Gravitic Flux go up into the sky, as everybody's fallen here for the Vegas Eternal. They felt like they needed to dump in that rally to keep the cart moving. Not enough, though, as Atlanta pounces from the high ground, and they will take the series 2-0. Scott, I thought Atlanta looked really strong today, but also pleasantly surprised with Vegas's performance, if I'm quite honest with you. I actually thought Vegas put up a pretty good fight.
Yeah, I think Vegas showed at least some signs of life, especially on that first map. With the Hollywood, I wasn't in love with their compositions, but maybe recognizing that they can't win the head-to-head battle, realizing they need to play into their own strengths. You know, Mouthful is comfortable on that Genji. As much as it didn't find a lot of value in this series, maybe it could work for them in other situations. There must be a reason while they're playing that. So it wasn't the worst thing for the Vegas Eternal. As you said, Atlanta Reign is the team to beat right now.
Yeah, maybe some comp adjustments from Vegas Eternal, and they kind of bounce back in some of their remaining series in pool play. But we can talk a little bit about our player of the match here for the Atlanta Reign. And for us, it was Hawk. I thought Hawk was tremendous, whether it was the Ramatra or the Sigma, really just kind of picking up where he left off last season.
Yeah, and obviously the DPS player is playing very well for the Atlanta Reign, but for Hawk, just being that anchor and showing his value on this roster, not just on this Ramatra and playing this Brawl style, we know how good of a Sigma player he is, and he absolutely won that tank diff here on Hollywood, just playing so aggressive, putting out so much work. He got so many fluxes on their defense, just pumping out the damage, so absolutely deserving of the player of the match.
Yeah, absolutely, and we know from history, Hawk can really play just about everything, right? So you look to see him even progress as a player, right? Maybe we don't expect to see him in a lot of options in terms of maybe it's some main tank stuff, but we did see a little bit of it last season, so potential still there. I believe we'll actually see the Atlanta Reign again today, a little bit later, but not coming up next. But man, I am thoroughly impressed with what they put together so far.
Yeah, Vegas Eternal, this was always going to be their hard first match. And Lemon Kiwi said in the pre-show, it's about how they build off of this match and go into the future matches where they might have a much better chance of showing their strength.
Yeah, for sure. I think better things on the horizon here for Vegas Eternal. But that's going to be it for our first series of the day. We're going to go to the desk, check in, talk about what's going to go on in match number 2 coming up right after this.
celebrate the first Overwatch League Pro-Am event in history. That is right, this is the first one. All you have to do is head on over to the Overwatch League shop and grab your Pro-Am tee right now, because they are limited and they will only last until the Pro-Am is over, so make sure to cop yours right now. But also stick around, because we're gonna break down all the action we just got to see. This was honestly not a bad showing for the Vegas Eternal. I mean, they are going up against one of the teams which look the strongest, look dominant, is hailed as one of the best teams in the league right now, so no one really picked them as the winner of this one, but we wanted to see them hold their own, and I feel like they've done just that.
Absolutely, and I think Fielder was such a strong pickup for Atlanta, and I'd actually like to just compare apples to apples. Let's kind of take a look at Luke Nino versus Fielder's decision-making, especially on Antarctic Peninsula. When it comes to their ultimates, that's where the key decision-making is for Baptiste, you know, besides the aggression and, like, the healing. I know looking at stats in a vacuum, or just looking at this in a vacuum, is hard. If your team is winning, you're going to look better, etc. How the score is looking, how the fight is going. Decision on Amp Matrix is really tricky. It's about angling for coverage and timing. Fielder off angles here on the high ground of Antarctic Labs and has great zone coverage because he can see the whole objective. His timing is impeccable because Vegas Eternal was like out in the open, and he actually gets 2 or 3 kills and ends up turning the fight for his team. And no one's paying attention to Fielder, so again, that adds to great timing on Fielder's end of things. I'd like to take a look at Luke Nino's decision-making around his Amp Matrix. Now, this has a few factors, including the fact that Atlanta are at 99%. We're kind of just getting the aftermath of what happened. What happened was that Vegas stepped up, placed the Amp Matrix immediately. What I didn't love about this, you know, point coverage is fine. Where he places that window, it sees the entire point, but the timing is off. Hawks Ramatra is able to hide behind cover next to the point. Stalker on Mei, out in the open, sure, but you also have to track cooldowns at this level of play. Stalker on Mei had both Maywall and Ice Block. So as soon as Vegas walked up and placed that Amp Matrix, well, you know, they didn't have a lot of options because it was 99% Atlanta, but all Stalker had to do was throw a Blizzard to counter, throw the Maywall behind them, and then Vegas actually got zoned off of their own Amp Matrix and got little to no value off of it. What I would have liked to see Luke Nino do instead, which by the way, he was known as one of the best Baptiste contenders, so this is no shade on him. We know his capabilities are very high. I would have liked to, like most teams do, is actually use the Amp Matrix defensively. Once you see a team approach you, that's when you put it down. So if, for example, Stalker threw the Blizzard down, you know this is coming, you back away, use the Amp Matrix to stop them from pushing into the Blizzard, assuming that Luke Nino could keep a safe position. But this is just one example of how Fielder is just head and shoulders above and able to download what Vegas Eternal are doing and able to have a reaction or a response ready. And I thought Fielder did an amazing job.
Absolutely.
Let's go Fielder.
Let's go Fielder, actually. But I think generally, if we're looking at Hollywood there as well, there were just so many moments where we really didn't see Vegas being able to stop the aggression. I feel like Atlanta Reign, throughout the majority of that map, they were just able to take space and not let up, and you can't allow that to happen. Right, and I've been told that we now have an interview ready with the man, the legend. It is Hawk, our very favorite bird, joining us for a quick chat. Hawk, congratulations. The first big win today after a dominant performance yesterday. So let's chat about what we saw. We saw a lot of Ramatra coming out from you. How was it for you to pick up that hero, and how do you feel, or rather, what value do you think he brings to the brawl you guys are playing?
I think he's a pretty good substitute to like Ryan or maybe Queen or other like brawl tanks, but I think I picked him up pretty quickly. Since the moment he was released, I kind of just like one-tricked him a lot of the time, even when he was bad, and then when he got better, and then they nerfed him, but he's still pretty good. It's all about hitting your punches and just getting max value out of all your cooldowns, and then of course having a stacked team to pocket you, but that's about it.
Well, speaking of punches, I was so sad to see you not on Doomfist. I was actually expecting Doomfist from you as one of the best, and you rolled on the Ramatra, which I'm fine as long as you're winning. But what was your reaction to seeing Vulcan on the Doomfist, which I don't remember him playing much of?
I don't know. I don't know why he's on that hero, but that's just my opinion. I don't know why he's on the hero.
Was there a second where he almost baited you into the Doom? We wanted to see that Doom duel. I felt like it felt like a challenge. It felt personal.
I mean, no. I mean, I played Doom recently, but he just like too inconsistent since all of his nerfs, and he just like probably the worst out of the dive tanks because he just like it's pretty RNG playing that hero now. Like you have to get punch or and you're I don't know, but
all right, so
I was
Hawk
kind of surprised
didn't fall for the bait. Got it.
Hopefully one day we'll see a Doom v Doom.
See it again.
Hawk on that Doom again. For me, Hawk, I think you briefly mentioned about having a stacked team, and Atlanta Reign is a stacked team right now. And interestingly, I think you are playing with a lot of Korean players right now. So I wanted to know about the comm situation. Like, do you guys all talk in English, or are you learning Korean? How does the comm go?
It's like a usual like hybrid, but I mean, I guess it depends who's in. So far, Chio's been really good of just like Chio and Vigilante have been helping me like out like with like hybrid comms, but I usually say stuff in my like kind of English, but like I understand a lot of what they're saying, but I'm just not comfortable like saying it. Yeah, but they understand what I'm saying. I understand what they're saying a lot of the time. Only time it gets a little confusing is like not the ult tracking, but like the pre-fight planning. But that's about it. Like it's pretty easy.
Okay.
Right on. We'd love to see it. I love the dominance from the Atlanta Reign so far in this Pro-Am tournament, so keep it up. Thank you so much, Hawk. Best of luck to you and your team for your upcoming matches.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Always good time chatting with Hawk, and we have another great match coming your way. The second one of the day will feature two teams which unfortunately lost the first matches here so far in the Pro-Am tournament, so they have everything to prove as they want to make it out of their group. London Spitfire and the LA Valiant will face off against each other. Let's discuss those two teams, starting here with that London squad that did go down yesterday. However, they did have to face off against Atlanta Reign, so they weren't really the favorite coming into their first match either.
Yeah, I casted that game, and it was obviously tough to get a measure of how good London are looking at the start, because you're facing one of the best teams of Atlanta that just are beating everyone down right now. But the big question around London is how they're going to incorporate their new players, which are supposed to add this flexibility to them. The Skyripper and Lethal, who are really hyped up from contenders, especially Lethal on the hit scan. And it feels like London are going back to their kind of playoff meta of this Winston, Kiriko, and even maybe some Reaper, but just the coordination wasn't all there. And I think the way Atlanta are playing is just so aggressive and so like relentless, the way that they punish every single mistake. And I don't think London should always focus on putting all the resources into Hadi, because I think people are going to realize that and focus him down a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, and we're looking at the Valiant. We're looking at the Valiant right now. I honestly really like the Valiant team that I saw yesterday. I mean, they did get the L yesterday, but I mean, probably Seeker was probably the star player today, so I'm really excited to see more from Seeker. But they are going up against the London Spitfire today, and I think London Spitfire, their forte right now is the team work that they have, because it's basically the same team that we saw last year. So can the LA Valiant beat the London Spitfire? We'll have to watch and see.
Yeah, we'll find out very soon. Now make sure to get your team support bundle, which is on sale now through April 11th. Get Sigma, Doomfist, and Ramatra, as you can see some of them on screen right now, and a weapon charm as well in your favorite team's skin, all for just 350 league tokens. But for now, let's find out which of the blue teams will come out on top. Will it be the London Spitfire or the LA Valiant? LA Valiant, I think a lot of people were positively surprised with what they saw from them yesterday. They did go up against the Saints. They lost against them, but they did play close. I do think that the expectation for that team were not super high from a lot of people from the community. So overall, I think their performance was good. And this is a good measurement of strength here for both of those teams, actually, to really get a bit of an idea of where we're standing here. So I want to hear it from my big brain analyst where we're at with our predictions. I'm going to start this one off. And can I remember what I picked? I think I picked London Spitfire.
Which blue team?
Yes, I did. Congratulations, me. Yeah, no, I think this is a London Spitfire. I just think that they have more time as a team, obviously, because they didn't have a fully retold roster. Whereas the Valiant, I mean, I don't know how much time they had before they announced their roster, which was like, what, 2 days ago, to actually play with each other. So I don't know if they're going to have the same synergy and cohesion as we're going to see from the London Spitfire here. Danny, what about you?
True. It's question. We could question the teamwork there for the LA Valiant, but like I said, they impressed me a lot. So for this match, I'm gonna go with the LA Valiant. I want that Seeker fanboy sort of vibe right now.
Lemon looks upset about this.
I don't know. I think there's such a tank canyon between Hottie and Krawi when we're comparing London to Valiant. So I got to stick with London, you know, the pre-existing synergy. And they lost to the best teams, so I'm going to forgive London for now. But Valiant lost to Saints, who are, yes, they're #1 for contenders, but maybe you should be losing to contenders. Like, let's focus on being contenders before we start trying to beat the top 6 of Owl. So I'm a bit more confident on London. Yeah, they have some coordination stuff to fix up, but it's just about getting back on the bicycle and learning that again.
Indeed. And Danny, you might look like a real big brain after this. Who knows? Only one way to find out, and that's
Probably
getting
not.
that match on. It's Mary Wayne. For that, we're going to bring in the casters once more.
Oh, thank you so much, Zoe. Danny Lim with a little bit of a pocket Valiant pick there. Scott, what do you think?
Danny, what are you doing here?
I like it.
Danny saw Seeker hit a bunch of shots, and he's like, I'm in. I'm a believer of the Los Angeles Valiant. I've seen enough. London Spitfire obviously struggled yesterday, but it was against Atlanta, as Lemon said, and they have a lot more flexibility than the Valiant. Yesterday, we talked about it, Matt. With Curry on that tank, he really wanted to just lean on that Ramatra no matter what map and situation they were in.
Yeah, Danny kind of strikes me as the type that, like, they go to the store and they get everything they need, and then there's all that, like, shiny stuff by the register, and he can't control himself, and he just gobbles it all up. As the last image in his head was, you know, Seeker from yesterday. Is that's what he's going after. As will be Oasis kick things off here in this series. So look, I don't know if I agree with the pick from Danny, but I can see it. I can see it. I could potentially see a little bit of a Valiant run. We put so much stock in, like, you know, this London Spitfire team has been together for a while. How much stock do you put in that?
It goes a long way, especially when they're going to play this composition. They're obviously very tried and tested on it. They played it a lot of last year. But for me, I agree that I can see it. I don't think it's going to be as much about the cohesion when we see these two matchups. It's going to be the Ramatra versus the Reinhardt again. Are the Valiant comfortable playing this Ramatra, and is it going to force London into an uncomfortable position? We saw London struggle against Hawk playing that yesterday. Now against Croy, and I would say a weaker team in the Los Angeles Valiant, is he going to have the same issue?
I'm kind of upset you don't have your Valiant jersey on. I know Tazon Day somewhere out there has his on. As
that's true. Honestly, I'm a changed person. I only have the green ones, so it's too vintage for some people.
Spitfire. Oh yeah, those are collector's items at this point. As Spitfire, they'll take control of the point here first. You're going to have the Valiant, and this is kind of where I kind of see some value with the Ramatra, right? Like, you can take high ground, you can actually do some damage as the tank from the high ground, right? You can play, from a little bit of different off angles. As wall goes up here in front of Seekers, he's on the Cassidy, just trying to find some heads. As just like that, they just kind of push the Spitfire off of the point, but Backbone on the May comes on a little bit of a cheeky flank. He's able to get one. They kind of a little bait and switch there on the Crawley as. He's looking one way, trying to make a play for Backbone, and here comes Hottie from the other direction. Nice play there to open things up from London.
Hottie says, "How dare you turn your back to me," and then pins him into a wall. But we are going to see N2S switch over to the May. I wasn't a huge fan of the Tracer pick. It's very difficult to get value, and the chances of just dying to a stray Icicle or a headshot from Sparker is just too high. So we're going to see them go to the May. They'll be able to choose more tempo as a team now, but they have no ultimates coming up. They didn't really accomplish anything in that first little bit of time, and CJ's going to get picked by the off-angling Sparker, so that's going to force another retreat and a reset from the Valiant.
Yeah, they go with May, and they also actually take Seeker off of the Cassidy, and he'll be playing the Hanzo. So a little bit more burst potential, I think, with like May and Hanzo, right? you just lose some of the survivability from the damage dealers, right? Like if you had like Mei and Cassidy in the mix, kind of like how the London Spitfire do, like Mei plus Cassidy plus like an immortality field, right? I mean, it is definitely difficult to take down some of those DPS. As London, no fear, that'll be an Amp Matrix. Nice Mei wall there from N2S, getting right in the mix, so gonna block some of the damage that comes through.
Yeah, just not able to wind swing for the Spitfire, but they're going to commit even further, using the Blizzard to isolate N2S. Great immortality field into some healing, into a wall by him, and they're actually going to live. So great play by the Valiant, making sure that they aren't punished for that, but 70% accounting here for the London Spitfire. As the Valiant is starting to step up, they've got the ultimates. The Dragon is going to cut the team off, and this is going to be a great play, but Sparker with the high...
he's going to get out.
He is out, and that's just going to force the London Spitfire back, but it did isolate Honey.
Yeah, as that Blizzard comes down there from N2S, as it looks like Sparker's going to be inside of it. He's able to roll out and keep his life, as he will end up falling here towards the end. Seeker picking up some kills, as that'll be the Valiant flipping it. How do you think the Valiant's comp deals with like the pressure, right? Like now that they actually have control of the point, they can set up. Like, do you feel like it's a little bit set up better to be better on the defensive side of things, or to hold on more aggressive angles?
With Seeker on this Hanzo, he's going to be constantly shooting arrows, and the value that they have here is he only needs to hit one shot every now and then, and you can just see him just shooting down this left corridor, looking for anybody, just kind of rolling the dice for it. But they're going to have to be careful of this Hardy Shatter because the shield has gone down from Croy, so Hardy's going to look for this one.
Yeah, with Hanzo, you just kind of like pre-fire the chokes so you know players are coming through, and sometimes you'll end up just getting one. As Annihilation popped there right after a Shatter. You see how low Hottie and Sparker go, but that's going to be an Immortality Field drop there by Landon and an Amp Matrix there, able to keep players alive. Yeah, another Dragon. That Dragon's going to go straight through the Amp Matrix, so just kind of the same logic of putting a Mei wall there to block some of the damage. If you throw that Dragon right at it, they're not able to stand behind it, put some damage down. So looks like Hottie and the rest of London, they're going to try and set up a little bit. CJ, the nice Amp Matrix placement here, is he's going to be able to put down some significant damage, going to force players back. That's going to be the Immortality Field out as well from London Spitfire there, Scott. So they're going to have to wait a little bit of time here to go back out into the point and contest.
Valiant cycling ultimates and understanding their win conditions very well here right now. They are going to get walled off by Backbone, but he's going to have to use his Ice Block as he gets a little too aggressive. He throws the Blizzard. I don't know where that one went. I think they were throwing it at Croy, but he's managed to get out of this one. Sparker picks off Seeker, which should remove a lot of the damage from the Valiant, and that is going to cause the flip. And with 95% remaining, this is desperation for Valiant.
Yeah, it's going to be a Blizzard from the Valiant, but it looks like everybody kind of sidesteps it as Hottie tries to time the pin there on N2S as he's coming out of Ice Block. So yeah, one player got on there, contested for just a little bit. CJ around the corner. It'll be Crawley on the Wrecking Ball, getting on in, giving it a touch. Here's a Deadeye from range, trying to maybe scare some players from coming onto the point. Yep, that'll be a kill there for Sparker. So be the London Spitfire taking round number 1, 100 to